K. And again, it has that kind of gamification. So as you can see, it's like assessment with the flavor of a game. And you need here to click on teach. And maybe you can have here some extra features that you can choose what fits you, like the background noise, if you would like to randomize questions, if you would like to randomize the order of answers, if you would like to make it a little bit of more challenging to students, or in order not to ask their peers for the answers, show minimized instructions, and you just click on classic. You can have it in the classic mode or in the team mode. So if you would like to make it much more competitive, you can put your students in teams. If you would like to just to give it to all students and all of them have equal attempts, you can just have it in the classic mode. And you have here like a kind of fun music. So let me just mute it for now. And it gives you here a game pin. And that's supposed to be shown to your students. So you just show your students the game pin, and it tells them to join the website, kahoot.it. And once you go, so you can just try it right now and just use your mobile phones and go to kahoot.it and click on the game pin. I'm not sure if you can do that right now, but maybe if you can just have like 1 or 2 users, that would allow me to show you what's going to happen in the game. So maybe I would ask some people to go to kahoot.it, and it will tell you what is the game pin, and you will just type in that game pin. So are we going to have any players today? Okay, so I can find here Romy. Maybe we can wait for a couple of more people. Anyone is interested? Okay, so let me start just for the time factor. And all right, so we have 2 people. So you can either just start right away, which would give an option for latecomers to join the game even after you start, or you can lock it. And if you lock it, no one will be able to join later. So let me keep it open. And that's what you should usually do in your classrooms. Maybe if some students are having challenges with internet connection, or if they can't really access it very quickly. So you just click on start, and it will just pop to students the name of the quiz, and it will give them the question and the 4 distractors. So what does BUE stand for? And it gives you here 4 different answers. Of course, here, the beauty of it is that you will be able to really promote your students' interaction and attention, because they will not be able to answer without looking at the screen. And yeah, so it gives here to everyone like very instant feedback on the answer. So the right answer is the British University in Egypt. And I created that quiz just for 1 question. So once you click on next, you're going to have like a podium with the results and who won the game, like or the first 3 people who ranked on the game. So it's here's that kind of fun, because we all know everyone would like to see their names on the screen. So maybe your students who really like that part. Okay, and that's all for Kahoot. Let me go for the next one, which is...
You have 4 minutes. 4 minutes left.
4 minutes, all right. So let me go to Nearpod. And again, it uses the same concept of students or teachers. And for students here, just like Kahoot, it tells them just to enter the code. So same concept, same philosophy. but maybe different features. So I'm going to log in. And right. Ready? Okay, so again, like as I have mentioned, once you just go into the platform, you can have some extra features. So again, you're going to click on create. It will tell you like create a lesson. And here it asks you to upload some files, so you can provide your students with different resources, and it gives you lots of options here. Maybe the ones that I really like is in the activities that the collaborate board. And the collaborate board shows this way. So I've already created one. Again, just to show you. So you can just make it a live participation, which is in real time. And yeah, again, it gives you like a code here that you are supposed to share with your students, and they have the portal for your students to type in the room code. And okay, so it shows you here, like I've added like a very general question: what have you learned about today's conference? And once you give the code, the room code to your students, they will be able to share their thoughts here. And it acts like a collaborate board, like a big banner where they can, the responses will be like sticky notes on that board. So it's very nice for brainstorming. It's very nice for giving feedback. Your students giving you feedback about your teaching, what they have liked, what they didn't, so you can work on modifying the course. So again, it's very nice in the sense of all students are trying to post things, and they can even like press like on each other's posts. So it's particularly interesting for brainstorming and generating ideas and discussions.
1 minute.
All right. Well, that's really tense under the pressure of time. So Google Form is very, very quickly. It should be geared to a Gmail account. So once you just click on start a new form, you go to Google Forms, which is an app in the Google Suite, G Suite, and you click on blank. And you have here lots of options to create questions. It can be, if you add question, so you can type your question here, you can choose from multiple options for your question. It can be short answer, it can be a paragraph, checking boxes, linear scale, multiple choice. So it gives you a wide variety of options to type in your questions. And you can even make the question required, which means that students must respond to that question, or you can just leave it for free if they need to skip it. And again, you have, after you finish the questions and you give them the link, so you're trying to share, you will have here like send, and you can send the link to your students. You will be able to monitor the responses here. So you have two tabs, the questions and responses. And at the very end of the responses, as long as you are accepting responses, students will be able to feed into your quiz with responses. If you uncheck it, it means it's locked. And even the responses here will be automatically exported to a spreadsheet. So you can see students who attempted the questions, their names, the timestamp, and lots of information about them. Even you can get some kind of infograph on the percentage of people who got it right, the percentage of people who got confused about questions. So you can give your students a kind of very general feedback on things you should highlight.
Can I
And
ask you, sorry to interrupt, can I ask you to summarize, because you're already almost a minute and a half over time, and just to make it fair for everyone, can I maybe just ask you to sum
okay,
up the
all
presentation?
right. So again, just at the very end, which one is the best? So I would say no size fits all. So because during the coronavirus time, lots of people are trying to, or lots of, let's say, institutions are really interested in creating digital platforms for the needs of people who would like to use online assessments and those platforms in their teaching. So it's gaining momentum nowadays. You have a variety of platforms. So check what's really suitable to you. Check what you think is really interesting to students and what you feel comfortable with. So you can use all of them actually. And always think of what's your purpose. Would you like to use one just as easy as Kahoot for multiple choice? Would you like to use one with which feels neater and more systematic like Google Forms? Would you like to use a platform for brain discussions like Nearpod, like the Collaborate board? And my advice at the very end, always try and experiment. So nothing is perfect. You always try to customize your teaching and the kind of informal assessments that you are trying to give according to your students' need and the house they feel comfortable with. And thank you very much. That's my email. So maybe if you would like to ask me about any of those platforms, I would be really happy to send you more links or um, uh, give you like more insights on them. And thanks for
Thank you, Mustafa, for that very interesting presentation and sharing with us various assessment tools. There's one question that came through from Hanan on the chat, which I'll take. The question is, Collaborate board, is it the same as Padlet? Are you familiar with it? Do you know?
yes, I guess I'm maybe a bit familiar with Padlet, but I would say that maybe Padlet is more into if you are trying to give definitions for your students, like I guess it's basically a kind of platform which simulates flashcards. But in Nearpod, you mainly have three features. The first feature is the collaborate board, which is like as if we are on Facebook and people are writing posts, and even students, they can give peer feedback to each other. So you'd find students can like other posts and comment on them. So it's like cool to gather some ideas and information. And it has maybe another feature, which is timed writing. So it might be very suitable for people who are teaching essay or they are teaching writing. You can just give a link to your students. They have a box to type in their responses or answers, and it's timed. So maybe what I really like about that feature is that it gives them a sense of time and how to write against the topic.
Thank you for that explanation. Can I open to the floor for any questions? Don't forget, if you do have a question, just to unmute yourself, and you can also briefly introduce yourself and ask the question. We have 5 minutes for Q&A. If there's no questions, let me start with one, because I did cut you short just to stick to time, but now we have some time in the form of a question.
Okay.
You didn't go through the second one on
Socrative.
so maybe
Yes.
you can just share a little bit about Socrative.
All right, so very quickly, let me share my screen again. So, yeah. Okay. So tell me if you can see my screen.
Yep.
All right. So, okay, so Socrative, again, based on the idea of creating code and sharing it with your students. So you can just log in here. Of course, you need to sign up for free. And again, same concept like student login and teacher login. And if you're a student, it will take you to the place where you need to type in the code of the room that's being shared by your teacher. And for you teachers, so you just need to write my email, write my password. And again, it gives you here the simple form of assessment. So you can have multiple choice, you can have true and false, or short answer. And in order to create one of those, you can just create one of those like a very quick access if you need to just create like a couple of questions and send them for your students, or you can create like a complete quiz. And once you go here again, okay, so all right, so quizzes here, you go to quizzes, and you can have, let me see here, add quiz. So once you click on add quiz, it tells you to create new, and you can choose like the first, you give your quiz a title, you enable sharing, and that would be like the codes that you're going to share, and you choose questions that you would like. Again, for the time factor, so let me go for an already made one. So I created one called the quiz number 1. And of course, I can already share it with my students. I can even duplicate it or download it. And once I click on it, again here, so I wrote the question, what does BE stand for? I gave it here 4 different options. I checked on the correct answer. And I even added here, so that's really nice for giving feedback, a kind of extra feedback or a kind of extra explanation. So after, let's say my students, I'm giving them an orientation and they chose that answer. So once they click on it or at the end of the quiz, it will give them that kind of extra information. So that would really help your students get more in depth and understand what you are trying to offer them. And you can also like upload a photo. And maybe what I would like to comment here is all of these platforms, maybe it's not really, as I mentioned, for summative assessment, which is usually the big fat exam that we have at the end of the semester, but it's for classroom assessment. And I'm using the word assessment here in its correct sense of gathering information about your student. It's not synonymous with a test. A test is only one form of assessment, but the very big concept of assessment is whatever you are doing. If you are asking your student a question, if you are asking him to repeat something, if you are having a discussion, all of these modes are to collect information from your students on what they are grabbing, digesting, and if they can reflect on what you are saying, it clicks or not.
Thank you, Mustafa. I am going to, sorry, I'm just going to ask, because we're on the last 30 seconds of your session, if there's any final question that anyone wants to pose to you. There doesn't seem to be any other questions. So I'd like to thank you very much for your presentation and for your insights. That will bring us to the close of the first presentation. And we will go on to the second presentation by Dr. Praveen Balakrishnan Ne, who's an associate professor at Edinburgh Business School, Heriot-Watt University, Malaysia. We look very forward to you sharing your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Camelia. I'm Praveen here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Can you see my slide?
Yes,
Sorry? I think somebody's mic is on.
Can you, Prof. Heber, can you
طب يا فندم، طب ممكن ان شاء الله لما اجي القاهره امتى؟ انا جاي ان شاء الله من السبت وقاعده اكلم حضرتك نتفق على وقت. اوكي ما فيش مشكله. ماشي 3 خلاص. خلاص يا فندم يا بينا تليفون. شكرا شكرا. ماشي يا فندم.
Okay, so I think I can start. Thank you very much, Dr. Camelia, and good afternoon to you all. And here it is good night. It's past 9:30 here now in the night. So what I'm planning to do today is basically to share what we have done in my university to overcome these pandemic-related uncertainties and changes. This is not going to be a research-based presentations, but this is more of a sharing of what we have done in the university. So what we have done here is, of course, as any other university, any other traditional university, we also use blended learning approach. But because of the peculiar nature of our university, we had to make the blended learning approach a little bit adapted, and we call it as a responsive blended learning. So let me take you through what we have done and how it was implemented. So basically, the objective of this presentation, as I have told you, is just to share the learning and teaching approach developed by. I mentioned here global university because my university is global in nature, and we have a few campuses around the world in different time zones, in different continents. And as well, we have a lot of affiliated learning partners as well. So if you look at it, we have students from around the globe, from almost all the 5 continents as well. So that makes it much more complex for us to mitigate the uncertainties caused by this pandemic. And again, to give you a background, we follow the philosophy of one university, many campuses. So what do we mean by that? The university is a single entity, but we have many entities around the world, and we strive our level best to deliver standardized offering. That means all the programs we are offering is standardized. The courses are the same, the examinations are the same, and we try our level best to provide with a very standardized student experience as well, wherever you are from around the globe. And all of them will get the same certification as well. So just to be truthful to this particular philosophy, the university has taken the best efforts to deliver standardized offerings and student experience from the different campuses. So that's the background, and this is what makes it a little bit more complex for us to get adapted to this particular pandemic-related uncertain situation. So the biggest issue we have faced is ensuring the promised identical academic standards across campuses. As we all know, most of the traditional universities like ours, mine is a 200 plus years old university, we still stick on to all the traditional face-to-face learning methodologies supported by online learning. But we also had no choice. We had to move on to a blended learning. And but the issue we faced was how to suit it to the varying context they faced in different campus locations. To give you a very simple example, 3 of our main campuses are in Scotland, Dubai, as well as here in Malaysia. So what happened is that when Scottish campus was closed, in Malaysian campus, it was closed for a period of time, but the COVID numbers went down. The government permitted us to reopen the campus. So you see the situation, the students in Dubai campus as well as the UK campus, they are not benefiting from face-to-face interaction, which all the students love. But in Malaysia, they were offered that. So there is a discrepancy in the student experience, which we have promised the students. So how to ensure comparable staff and student experience in these type of situations? This was the issue we have faced when we tried to implement blended learning in our university. So what are the challenges we have faced? Students in some regions may be able to attend, some may not. And in Malaysia, we have close to 50% of our students coming from different other countries. So even though our campus was open, many of our students were stranded in other countries. They could not get in or get back to the campus they have registered. So that leaves them again geographically dispersed. So in a class of, let's say, for 100, maybe 60 will be availing face-to-face classes, but 40 may not be getting it. And some have poor access to technology or other responsibilities and challenges that hinder their ability to engage online as well. Many of them was impacted by COVID-related financial issues. Many of them were impacted by, family commitments and stuff like that. So we have to cater to students coming from different backgrounds. So we had an extensive discussion under the Learning and Teaching department, and we were trying to create courses that ensure equivalence in learning opportunity. Of course, it's near to impossibility, but we tried our level best to offer the best we can to students on and off campus, and for those who face technological and other limiting factors as well. So this is the aim we had in our mind. And if you look at blended learning, it's often context dependent. And in our university situation, it's quite difficult for us to have a universal conception. So this situation led to the university redesigning. Of course, basically, if you look at it, it's the same blended learning approach. But what we have done is we adapted it a little bit or redesigned it a little bit to meet the complex requirements of a global university operation like ours. So the improved approach, particularly we aimed at providing equivalence in learning opportunity to the best way possible. So that is what we had in our mind when we designed across different learning contexts. Now, what's the concept? Same as blended learning, the approach combined active online learning with face-to-face learning opportunities appropriate to different campus contexts, responding dynamically to the changing environment. So that is the important part here, responding dynamically to the changing environment. So if Dubai government allows them to operate the campus, and if Malaysian government does not allow us to operate the campus, so there is a different environmental context. So how can we well adapt our offering to this differing situation? So that was our primary concern. So I have mentioned that we have sort of redesigned it, and we called it as responsive blended learning, RBL. Okay, so the responsiveness was basically practiced in three areas. One is, as I have mentioned to you, the dynamic teaching and learning environment, then the disrupted student learning context, and the well-being and support needs of global learning and teaching community. This has really caused a lot of stress to the students as well as the staff members across, because we act as a single campus, a single university. So these situations have really caused a lot of additional stress, not only to the students, but to the academic staff as well. So this particular remodeling of this blended learning approach need to take care of the well-being and support needs of global learning and teaching community as well. So how this was implemented, I'm going to discuss in more detail in these coming slides. Primarily, we focused on three things, which I have shown here. The first one is to have a single virtual learning environment platform for the global community. We definitely used virtual learning environment. We basically used Blackboard platform. Even though the course offerings are the same and the examinations are the same, the syllabus are the same, but each of the campus maintain their own web pages, their own platforms. And the primary reason for that is to suit to the context. We call it as contextual adaptation of what we are offering. So for that reason, we had a little bit of flexibility in the way the syllabus, the prescribed syllabus is being offered in different campuses. But in this situation, we thought that that's not going to benefit us. So we have changed it from sort of campus specific VLE to a single VLE platform. That means students from all the campuses from any corner of the world will be seeing the same VLE platform and the same contents in that. So what is the need for that? I will be explaining it in the coming slides. Then the learning and teaching process, we divided it into two categorization. One is called asynchronous learning and teaching. The other one is synchronous teaching. And to perform this asynchronous and synchronous teaching, we really wanted to have a single VLE platform. So let me go into a bit more details to make it more clearer to you. What is this and how it benefited us to overcome this uncertainty. Asynchronous learning and teaching, what we have done is basically, if you look at it, this one, we followed the concept of basic e-learning, whereby we have developed materials, we have developed podcasts, pre-recorded lecture sessions, directed reading exercises, activities, etc. And all the knowledge required to meet the course learning outcomes will be developed beforehand and will be posted in our standardized virtual learning environment platform. So that means whatever theoretical knowledge as well as the core knowledge required for that particular course will be readily available in that standardized virtual learning platform, which students can access from any part of the world, any campus. So it's basically structured online content and it can be accessed by anybody. So this way we ensured that the basic core knowledge is always there in the VLE and student can access it at any point of time from any part of the world. But this is not what we have promised the students. We have promised the students much more than that, and that was actually done by synchronous teaching. Now, in some cases, we may not be able to have face-to-face classes. In that case, we need to have online sessions. So what we did is that all the campuses, we made sure that we have synchronous teaching as live online sessions. That means the facilitator and the students will be participating in an interactive session, either online or offline. So that benefited the students. And now you may be having a question, what about the geographically dispersed student? So once these classes are over, either online or face-to-face, this will be recorded and again will be posted in our online platform. So students at any point of time will be able to download it and can watch what has happened during this synchronous teaching. So as I have told you, this will be recorded and it allows students to catch up if they are unable to attend. So if campuses open up, and this happened in our case, still the Scottish campus is closed and the Malaysia campus was opened in between for a few weeks. So if there is a live face-to-face session, this will be telecasted live using technology to those who are geographically stranded. So two things, if it is face-to-face and if our students are geographically stranded, we will be providing them with live telecast of the class. But if they are not in a position to see the live telecast due to the time differences or internet connectivity or some other commitment they have, the live telecast will again be posted or we will be uploaded into our virtual learning platform. So three things. One is face-to-face is taking place. Second is live telecasting is taking place. And the third one is it is available online as well. So we don't deny the opportunity of any students wherever they are in the world. Then we have opened up the facilities available in each campus. That is why we are having a single VLE platform. So let's say, for example, we have students from UK in our campus here. So the students in UK, for them, it may be quite difficult for them to attend the live classes from Malaysia, so they can access what is happening in the UK. Or somebody who is in the other region like Dubai, they will be able to access those classes. So they have access to what is being provided in each and every campus. So they won't miss out anything, okay? And synchronous delivery also includes a number of small group tutorials as well. So what we have done is that we had 45 minutes to 1 hour condensed tutorial sessions online, and those campuses which are opened up, we have face-to-face. This one again is telecasted live. So the students have an option of either attending the online one or the face-to-face one. So if they want, they can attend both as well. So we don't restrict them from attending just one. So how we sort of converted our traditional way of doing classes to this particular responsive blended learning style. This is our traditional way of conducting the classes. We basically, for an undergraduate face-to-face course, we have 2 hours continuous lecture session and a 1 hour tutorial. And the balance is independent learning. This is what we used to do. So what we have done now is that we have broken up this 2 hour lecture into 1 hour of core lecture. And this is what I have told you about synchronous delivery. That means those campuses which are open, this will be conducted face to face. Those campuses which are not open will be conducted online and will be recorded as well, face to face as well. Then we have 1 hour tutorial session. And this one, again, as I have told you, we will be having online as well as face to face. So students can choose which one to take depending on their convenience. Now, all the core learning, we have to make sure that the students does not miss out whatever is required to achieve the course outcomes, the course learning outcomes. So that will be definitely available online. So that is what we call as asynchronous delivery. Is that only the lecture material? No, we will be having directed learning, that is reading, quizzes, exercises, MC. Of course, it added a lot of burden on the academic staff side, but we were given extensive training. Our Learning and Teaching Academy have taken extensive efforts to make it more viable and acceptable to the academic staff. So this will be always there, and students can choose between these depending upon the campus situations. So this way, we make sure that anywhere you are in the world, what is the condition in the place of your domicile, they will not be affected by what we are providing. And we were doing this since March. Now our 1.5 semesters is over. So our first semester was over. We did a postmortem analysis. We conducted an extensive feedback survey. And what we have found is that, of course, everybody is inconvenienced because of this particular situation. But the feedback survey showed that students were reasonably happy. The satisfaction rate was, because in the British universities, you may be knowing, we had NSS National Student Survey. Sorry,
you have 3 minutes.
Yep. This is my last slide. So for us, this National Student Survey and things like that are quite important. So we conducted that feedback survey, and to our surprise, to be very frank, because when we started this, when we did a feedback survey, students were not keen to attend online classes, but towards the end of it, when we conducted a feedback survey, we were not that optimistic, but surprisingly, the results was very, very favorable. So the outcome is that this approach really helped the university in better responding to changing circumstances in different campuses and minimizing the teaching and learning disruption caused to the students and staff. So that's all about it. It's nothing. It's not a rocket science, but how we manage to sort of adapt what we all know to suit a context which is very unique and peculiar to a global university like ours. So that's all my presentation. Thank you very much. If anybody have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. Yeah, I think you've shared with us one extreme challenge in terms of the uniqueness of your university, but I think there's also a lot of practical and valuable lessons in terms of what you shared. So maybe I can kickstart with the question. Sure. Based on your experience and how you had to adapt and be responsive, as you indicated, in terms of your planning in terms of where we are currently? And I'm not sure how your academic year runs, if it's coming to sort of, or the term semester coming to an end and starting a new one. What are you taking forward? What were some of maybe the main lessons in terms of going forward in this current context?
Yes, thank you for the question. It's quite a relevant question. Why? Because just last week we had this postmortem analysis, and based on the student feedback survey, there were, I'm not saying it is 100% positive, there were some areas which we could do better and we can address it better. But moving forward, we have decided, because our semester starts in September, and it runs through December is the first semester. The second semester is January to April. And seeing the situation, we don't have any hope of any of the campuses being open for the next semester. So we'll be continuing with the same practice for the next semester, but we will be improving it continuously because it's the first time we are doing it. And to be very frank, most of the senior academics we have, they are not very familiar with technology-based pedagogy as well. I have a senior professor, my colleague, he didn't even know how to operate, these type of interactive sessions. So a lot of efforts has been taken. We are having continuous professional development programs, even during our semester break times. And we are continuing with this. So what we have decided is that even if this pandemic related uncertainty situation is over, we are planning to continue with this as a different stream of offering to the students. And that may be a different revenue source for the university as well. So it doesn't stop with pandemic. We are planning to take it forward, a different way of delivering to the market.
Thank you. I'll now open for some more questions. Any other questions? We have time for quite a few questions. So anybody else has some? Here's one in the Q&A. Let me just have a read. From Dr. Nalima. This is Dr. Praveen. This is foolproof. Great efforts by the university. Only one question. How did you ensure that the students are continuously motivated and are pushed to perform consistently, since the pandemic has hit the mental health of some students as well?
Excellent question. Mental health was always a concern, not only of students, but also academic staff. So to be very frank, we have even sought the help of experts in the area. And we have this particular program called mentor-mentee program. So each of the student will be having an academic as their personal mentor. So any issues they face, it need not be academic. They can get back to us. We have a Microsoft Teams site dedicated for this. So if they find it difficult to come straight to us and talk about their problem, they can interact us through this particular platform. So if it is academic and if it is something within the control of an academic, we will try our level best to solve it. But if it is not within our expertise or capability, we will be referring them to professional psychology counselors in the university. So we do conduct a lot of programs. We conduct a lot of activities, extracurricular activities also online, to make sure that mentally they are stress-free. Even for academics, we do that. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. It was a very good question. And thank you for your
input
on that in terms of your experiences at your university as well. Yeah, you can take another question. We can take another question.
Yes, please. Thank you, Dr. Praveen. I'd like to ask with regards to the asynchronous part of the module, I believe you put a time frame. What about students who do not abide by the time frame that is set for them to finish, for example, quizzes or activities in the asynchronous part of the module?
Sorry, can you just...
Yeah, I mean, in the activities and the quizzes in the asynchronous part of the module, do you put a time frame for students to complete those? And what happens with students who are slow, their pace is slow, and they are not able to finish on the time that you have set? for
Okay,
them?
two things. If it is an assessed quiz or an assessed work, we will definitely put a time frame. But if it is sort of a continuous work to be undertaken, let's say, for example, I will be posting that online this week and I will be expecting them to respond back next week. So I will do a stock taking in the next week. And if anybody have not completed the work, or if they are finding it difficulty, in that case, if it is something which I could address, I will be addressing it. Otherwise, I'll be referring them to the personal mentor they are having. Sometimes, some of them, I had a case whereby one student, they had financial difficulties at home because the father lost the job. So she could not concentrate on her studies. So that is something maybe beyond my control. So these type of cases, I will be referring to appropriate departments within the university. The university even have very lenient support in case of students who could not pay the fees and stuff like that. But the important thing is that we need to identify what is the problem. And many a times, even these type of class activities will lead us to identify these type of situations. But in most of the cases, yes, when we post something online, we need to make sure that the students will be doing it. So we will be stipulating a time frame.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's a question in the chat from Richard Omar of how is the university handling issues of assessment? So maybe just talk about how you've dealt with the assessments.
Yeah. So assessments, again, we face the same problem. So what we have done in the last cycle is that we made it THE, we call it take home examination, take home assessments. The questions will be, but again, we found this quite problematic, different students in different campuses, but we will be providing them with the same exam paper. So we cannot stipulate them, okay, I will give you the exam at 10 o'clock in the morning and you have to finish it by 12 o'clock, because 10 o'clock here is midnight back in UK. And the time difference issue is there. So you may sound it bit you may find it a bit interesting. We have provided a 24-hour time window for the students to complete the assessment. So what we have done is that the way we assess, we have changed the whole style. Rather than having it straightforward like quiz or anything like that, we made all the questions open-ended, which we require some sort of a critical in-depth analysis. So they could not get an answer straight away from the textbook or any other sources. And in the examination paper, I do teach PG programs, MBA and MSc programs. They need to come up with at least 10 references, just like submitting an assessment. So that were the ways we ensured that the students had not just copied it from a textbook or any other sources. They need to go for extensive extra reading and have to reflect it back in their answers. And it should show evidence of critical thinking as well, because they are having 24 hours window. Of course, it was a little bit more difficult for us to do the evaluation. If you have 100+ students reading through these type of submissions, it's not that easy, but we had no choice. We had to get adapted to the situation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? We have about 2.5 minutes left. Maybe I will go for the last question then. You have spoken about some of the challenges. You've spoken about some of the faculty not being really equipped for this kind of blended learning. And you've also just mentioned some of the challenges in terms of assessments and how you dealt with that, and some of the sort of emotional challenges for both faculty and students. Is there anything, maybe something else, anything else that you would want to identify that you can think of that was also quite challenging in changing to this blended learning approach?
Yes, I mean, we as human beings, we always are reluctant to accept change. There was some sort of, reluctance from the part of students as well as the academic staff members. But to give you a very simple example, when we decided to change, see, for example, when I deliver my course here in Malaysia, I have full control of what I will be posting in my virtual learning environment. But when it becomes standardized across the campus, it makes it very difficult for me, because I may not be able to give you one simple example. Okay, just to give you a simple example. The UK colleague posted a case study about Scotch whiskey industry. Mine is an Islamic country here. So I found it very difficult. So you see, we need to have very close interaction with academic colleagues in the other campuses to make sure that whatever we will be posting in our websites will be acceptable to this diverse, background people around the world. So I could not use Scotch whiskey industry here. So we have to work out and find something which suits all the, I mean, I'm just giving you an example. So these type of small issues popped up, I tell you, in the first few weeks, it was a mess. But we learned a lot of things, and we learned from our experience. And I would say the current semester is going quite smooth. We didn't face many hiccups. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very insightful. And I even just want to share not even in a blended learning, but I totally understand in terms of the challenges for case study, just on the side. The Masters of Sport and Entertainment Management that I teach here is a joint degree with the University of South Carolina. And a lot of the cases in sport revolves around alcohol as an example.
Yeah.
And so we have to continuously change the context and also in terms of using case studies that would be relevant for our context. So I completely understand that.
So this was really a big issue, and we learn from our experiences. So yeah, a very good learning curve, if you ask me. We were frustrated among the academic staff members. We had, mental breakdown, but we have no choice. Yeah.
Thank you. We have indeed been challenged.
Yes, definitely.
So
but
on to our final, thank you very much again, Dr. Praveen.
Thank you.
We're on to our final presentation for this session and we have Samir Amara, English language teacher and teacher trainer, and Nal Tessel, president-elect, who will be sharing his insights on blended and online constructive feedback. Thank you. Do we have Samir with us?
I was in touch with Mr. Samir over the WhatsApp. So he tried to join in, but I think he's not able to make up.
Oh.
So I think we can wait for some time, but in the meantime, I found some questions here which we can
Yes,
take forward.
I was just about to say there are questions. So yeah, we can carry on with the questions. There was another question. Dr. Praveen, this is to you. Did you have prior institutional training for staff and students to prepare them for online teaching and learning?
We didn't have a full-fledged training, but when this situation came up, we had some sort of, what should I say, a ready-made offering. It was being provided online as well as face-to-face wherever it was possible. So it was a 10-module program which you could complete at your own convenience, which is available online, which was prepared by our Learning and Teaching Academy. And credits were given for that, and it was counted for our annual professional development program as well. So it was compulsory for all of us to take that. And in that, we were taught how to prepare ourselves to face this type of uncertain situation. It was 10 hours. Sorry, it was not 10 hours. It was 10 days, 2-hour session, 20 hours. It was compulsory.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. I see Samir is now with us. So welcome, Samir Amara. We're looking forward to your presentation on blended and online constructive feedback.
Can I just say something that Dr. Samir Amara actually is logged in. He's actually waiting to start.
We've just introduced him.
Okay, good.
Hello, thank you so much for all of you. Thank you so much. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to join this conference and this group of professional speakers and attendees at the same time. My session is, I can share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you so much. So my session is about blended and online constructive feedback. In this session, we are going to go through some key points related to this topic. We are going to go through some changes that happened recently in education and in life in general all over the world. We will go through some key shifts related to education context in general. We will look into the feedback and different types of feedback and how we could deliver effective feedback as language teachers and instructors at the same time, and how to deliver direct or face-to-face feedback, and how to deliver remote or online or virtual feedback. Then by the end of the session, we will have some time slot for question and answer. So these are the key points we are going to go through. If you have any question, please take notes and write your questions and keep them for the last section of our time slot. First of all, let's look at the changes that have led to some dramatic changes in education or life in general. It is related to industry. So in the 18th century, there was Industry 1, which is based on steam power. There were mechanical production, moving away from cottage industry, from traditional one. Then the human being moved to Industry 2.0 in the 19th century, which is mainly based on electricity. There were lots of mass production and assembly line. So the skills needed for people, for those who come out of schools and colleges were different. And as long as industry has been changing, the skills that education should provide students and people with were changing all the time. Then in the mid of the 20th century, there was Industry 3.0, which is mainly based on information and communication technologies, electronics. There were lots of automated and network production. And again, the skilled and the different skills and capacity of the people were changing all the time, and this would impose lots of shifts on education system. Currently, we go through the Industry 4.0, which is mainly based on advanced robotics, 3D printing, Internet of Things or IoT, artificial intelligence everywhere, big data and saving the data on the cloud. There is lots of intelligent, flexible, and distributed production. We could have lots of stores with no concrete stores in different countries all over the world. We have TV producers who have no TV channel. They collect different content and they share it through their digital platforms. All these changes in industry lead to changes in the education system. So in the past, we have Education 1.0, which is mainly based on lecturing and memorization. Students were to memorize the content or the knowledge, and then they give this back in summative assessment through exams. Now we are going through the Education 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. In Education 2.0, we move to internet-enabled education context in which the students and the language learners use internet to move from such consuming the knowledge to producing the knowledge. And this helps to move to Education 3.0, in which students produce knowledge, not only to gain and get deeper into the knowledge. And in the future, in some countries, they already moved to innovation production. They help students to develop critical thinking, to develop life skills, to develop 21st century skills. So all these changes in industry impact on changes in education. And so there have lots and lots of shifts in education. And now we move from teaching to facilitation. So teachers are no longer those who are lecturers. Now they are facilitators, they are guides, they are mentors. They help students go through the curricula instead of just helping them to memorize. All these changes will impact on assessment, will impact on monitoring and mentoring students, and will impact on feedback later on. We move from knowledge to skills. We are after knowledge, which is changing. Once we teach students a scientific fact, there might be another research in another area of the world which tells us the opposite of this piece of knowledge or piece of information. So we are after helping students to acquire or to develop skills instead of just developing knowledge which might change, which might be not updated. We move from interdisciplinary curricula to multidisciplinary curricula, as we are after life skills, 21st century skills. We are not teaching subjects separately. We teach them in a linked way related to each other. So language learning support the learning of math, science, social studies, and other subjects. We move from summative assessment to formative assessment, and constructive feedback is one of the tools that help to develop formative assessment. It's a form of the formative assessment. And as for supervision, we move from authoritative supervision, in which supervisors and language inspectors are mainly interested on the spotlight of mistakes that teachers might have. Instead of that, they move to the developmental supervision, in which they help to develop and build the capacity of their teachers or their mentees in general. Then we move from transactional leadership to transformational leadership. Instead of asking teachers or language instructors to do something in exchange for something, we help them to acquire these changes that happened in education, that happened live, that happened in industry, because all life components or life areas are related to each other. So the changes in life, education, technology impacts on the education context in different components or in different areas. We are mainly after the change from, or the move from teaching to facilitation, from knowledge to skills, from summative assessment to formative assessments, simply because all these changes mainly impact on how we deliver formative assessment all through the learning and teaching process, not only by the end of the product or by the end of a certain phase or a certain stage of our teaching through a semester or a school year or something like that. No, we are after delivering the formative assessment all throughout the process of learning and teaching. So we are after feedback. We are after feedback again. The global situation in which we are all in since March 2020, we are under the challenges and which we can change into opportunities of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the national and international lockdown and school closure are impacting over 60% of the world's student population, according to the statistics of the UNESCO. This situation is, of course, challenging. This situation imposed that teachers are to be more flexible, are to deliver blended and online instruction, and at the same time, blended and online feedback. So this current situation is surely challenging, but as teachers, as language teachers and instructors, we could change this into an opportunity, and this will help us to be more flexible, to be more digital, to be more aware of how we could deliver the instruction, the assessment, the feedback, as students are not coming to schools in some areas, they are coming to schools for a few days, not for the whole week in other areas. So we need to adapt to this situation and the changes that might stay after this challenge. According to John Hattie, feedback is critical to what? To improving the learning, as it both influences students' motivation to learn and their ability to do so. So feedback is important and critical for language learning because it impacts on student motivation. As long as the students are fully or highly motivated, they are highly engaged, this will impact on how they learn the language and how active they are through the learning process and how they learn and go through the process of learning and how teachers facilitate the process of teaching for them. So we are after feedback, as feedback is one of the main components of teaching, and at the same time, it's an important aspect of learning. We need to deliver constructive feedback to all students. If we teach them face-to-face through teaching them directly in classrooms as possible as we could, according to the situation in each country, in each area, and we need to deliver constructive feedback when we deliver online or remote or virtual instruction according to the situation in each country or area as well. If we would like to dig deeper into the types of feedback, we would find that there are different types of feedback. There is a type called feed up. This refers to the instructions given by teachers to help students get learning outcomes from the very beginning of learning. So feed up is something given before starting the process of learning. It is something given before taking students through the learning journey. If we consider learning a journey, not a rigid process that students must go through, we would provide them with some instructions, with some guidance, with some advice. We provide them with rubrics that state the learning outcomes or the success criteria for them while they go through the learning process. We have another type, which is feedback. This refers to the instructions given by teachers to students on how they go through the learning. As they go through the learning and the learning process or the learning journey, we keep giving them advice, guidance, monitoring. We collect them the general or the repeated mistakes, and we reteach them the content, the knowledge. We help them to develop their skills, to practice something, to modify their attitudes. We do that through the learning process. And we have feed forward. This is a type of feedback or instructions given by teachers to help students go next to their learning. So it comes at the end of one of the learning process or phases when we move to another phase or area, not by the end of a semester, but by ending a segment of learning or a segment of learning and teaching process. So if we plan to deliver blended or online constructive feedback, we need to give different types, varied types of feedback, either feed up or feedback or feed forward. So we give feedback for language learners before we started the process of learning, before we have the kick-off of the learning journey, all through the learning journey or the learning process, and at the same time, by the end of each phase, each segment, when we move to other segments or other phases. To keep feedback effective according to Wiggins, we need to keep the feedback goal referenced. We should have learning outcomes from the very beginning, which are clear for students, which meet the requirements or the needs, which meet their learning styles, which is related or suitable to their backgrounds and interests. We need to keep them the feedback tangible, something to do, something to act upon. We should give clear instructions for them as part of feed up or feedback or feed forward, in case we give this directly, blended, or online. We need to keep feedback transparent. It's clear for all students to act upon, to learn from, to take actions based on what we deliver. We need to keep the feedback user-friendly. We use simple words. We use the language which is friendly to the language learners' levels, backgrounds, interests, to the area where they are as language learners. Are they beginners? Are they intermediate? Are they advanced learners? So it should be user-friendly. It should be actionable. We need to give feedback that when students go through the feedback, they could do something based on this feedback, to take action based on this type of feedback. How to deliver face-to-face feedback? Now we are in most areas, we are in a blended mode. We deliver some face-to-face instruction or teaching, and we deliver blended or virtual or online instruction. So we need to think of how to give effective constructive feedback when we are in face-to-face mode or when we are online. For face-to-face feedback, we need to keep feedback focused. Once we are delivering a communicative lesson, we keep the feedback focused on the four skills and how to communicate with others. We need to use feedback to meet students' needs and learning styles. And back to preparation or lesson planning, we need to be, as language teachers, we need to be fully aware of how students learn, what there are different learning styles, what are their needs. When we deliver or when we use feedback to meet students' needs, then we will have then we will meet the criteria for success or the learning outcomes. We need to prompt student thinking because we are after life skills, we are after critical thinking, we are after higher order thinking skills. So we need to keep giving them feedback that helps them to develop their thinking. We need to help students define, implement, and self-assess improvements. Once they do some kind of progress through the learning process or the learning journey, they are aware of how to define this based on learning outcomes, based on success criteria, based on rubrics, based on checklists they have, the tools we provide them, then how to implement and do some kind of self-assessment for themselves. We need to identify and recognize student success. One part of the importance of feedback is to develop students' self-confidence, is to celebrate their successes, even if these successes are partial, these successes happen on certain phases or segments of their learning. This will help to develop their motivation and how they learn the language effectively. If we move to remote or online or virtual feedback, there are some tips to do this. We need to address students by their names or to rate their self-esteem. Once we use social media or digital platforms to communicate with the students, we need to address them by their names. I know that on Zoom meetings or WhatsApp groups, we have the total number of participants as 15, as 25, but when we need to motivate students and when we need to keep them engaged, we need to address them by their names, not as 15 participants or 25 participants. They are human beings and we need to keep them motivated. We need to give immediate and regular feedback to keep students engaged. Once they send something, we keep certain time slots for giving feedback. We acknowledge them when we give feedback and how we give them feedback. We deliver specific and balanced feedback. We do not focus on one area of knowledge or skills and neglect other areas. We need to be specific and balanced at the same time. We help students act upon and develop their learning processes. We need students to think of their thinking. We need students to think how their learning went well and what could be improved, because we need them to think of their thinking, or we need them to develop the metacognitive skills. We need to ask critical questions and give reflective comments. It's not a matter of saying, well done, you did a great job. This is a type of praise which is needed and required, but at the same time, we ask them critical questions. How did you get this? What have you done in order to learn this? How could you improve this skill? And to give reflective comments in order to help students to develop their critical thinking, their reflection skills, and so on. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure to deliver this session on this great conference, and I'm pleased to get and answer or share any ideas or questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samir, for your insightful presentation. There is a question here from Richard Omar. Would you like to share how you obtain feedback from your students on their learning and how you make use of such information in your university?
Yes, thank you for this question. Currently, I'm teaching in a high school in Egypt, so the current situation is that I teach them 2 or 3 days a week face to face, and then the rest of the week online. So we started to give them some social media platforms to communicate, through the Facebook, through the WhatsApp groups, through the emails, and we ask them to, when we come to face to face, we give them activities, exercises to recycle the language or the communicative content of the language we have. We teach two types of curricula, one which is governmental and one which is advanced. The advanced one consists of course books, of English novels, of English poetry. So we ask them to prepare and to learn or to read by themselves, to take notes, to write questions, and come to the classroom. Then we give them feedback on what they have shared. Then we use the WhatsApp groups 24/7 in order to respond to the key points they raised. So we learn from the face-to-face instruction and online instruction that we need to help students to go through the material by themselves, to develop their self-learning, even if they are, even if this is something new to their culture. But the global challenge which faces the world in general now helps us as teachers to develop new and different modes of instruction, and this impact on students to develop some kind of new modes for learning as well. And I think, although it is a challenge, I think that we will benefit some opportunities related to digital literacy, related to online instruction and feedback in the future.
Thank you, Samir.
You are welcome.
Any other questions? We have some time for a few more questions.
Yes, please to get them.
Maybe I'll go for one while some people are still thinking about some more questions. You have now just, I'll follow up in terms of where you were in terms of saying that this has created some opportunities for us. And similar to my previous question for Dr. Praveen in terms of your learnings and your current context in Egypt with your students, you know, would this be sort of, you said that you would teach, you know, some days face-to-face, some days online. Is that kind of in the next couple of months, that's where you will continue in terms of going forward?
Yes, what we are going through now through the first semester from October to mid January is that we continue this mode in which we teach two or 3 days according to the level of the students. For younger students, we teach more days. For older students, we teach fewer days. This continues in the first semester, and the Ministry of Education is updating the process according to the situation. But I expect that this will continue for the second semester from mid-February up to mid-May 2021. This is what I expect. But I think that although it is something new to the culture to our culture and the culture of different teachers, this will help us to learn, to get more lessons learned that will help us in the future.
Thank you, Samir. Is there any final question?
Dr. Kamila, there is one question from Dr. Nagwa from Dr. Mustafa Yusuf Muhammad.
Why am is it in the chat or in the Q&A? Because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, it came in the chat in the middle of the presentation somewhere. It came to my private message actually.
Okay, so can you share it then? Because yeah, I'm looking for the message and why I can't see it. Please share it.
Yeah. So Dr. Nagwa, are you ready for the question? Are you ready with the question?
Yes, please. I'd like to ask, please, when you reflect, which mode do you think students prefer, the face-to-face or the online, in terms of their engagement?
In terms of platforms?
Yes, the different platforms. Do you think, in terms of platforms and they're achieving the learning outcomes, do you think the face-to-face is a better mode than online, or vice versa?
Well, I would say, in my opinion, we haven't really got like multiple choices nowadays, especially during COVID. So we can't really go backwards. We are almost like there's no way back. We must, we should use online right now, and we're going to use it one way or another. So I would say, um, if our students, especially that generation, if they like technologies, they are really interested in technologies, they are using mobile phones all of the time, why don't you use that kind of challenge that we thought it could be a challenge, or it's not really appropriate for classrooms in the test, and they changed into an opportunity for learning? So I would say, again, maybe one of the advantages of using those platforms in classroom assessment is that each student is engaged, each student is paying attention to the questions, they're having that kind of the game atmosphere, they are getting instant responses, so it's a very synchronous. You can always provide them with extra feedback, and the platform gives sometimes some extra feedback, and maybe it minimizes like the peer pressure if someone doesn't really know the answer, or they are embarrassed if they didn't really answer well, or so on. So it might be able to give them quite of comfort of they are trying to voice their let's say responses or things like that, especially when it comes, for example, to the Nearpod and the collaborative board. So they can always like give responses, and you can even make it anonymous, which is really can be an advantage to minimize that kind of embarrassment that students might experience.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
There was another question. It was actually to all panelists. So whoever wants to take this one, you mentioned the use of rubrics. How are they influencing effective learning in your institution?
Well, I might say that maybe one advantage of using rubrics, and maybe if I would like to put it into, again, online assessment and online learning, you can sometimes embed the rubric in some of the platforms. So I guess many people who are using Turnitin, they can embed the rubric, and that's why students can see the responses against the criteria in the rubric, or you are giving them feedback which totally suits what's being said or what's being mentioned in the rubric. So they can see how far they are from achieving a certain learning outcome, or to what extent they need to develop their performance, what they are missing, what they need to work on. And it can act like not only as feedback, but also as feed forward.
Thank you. And Samir, there's a question to you from Dr. Nalima. After the feedback is shared with the students, can there be a follow-up mechanism? If improvements are not happening, then what can be the next step?
Yes, thank you for the question. Again, as we give regular and immediate feedback to our students, alongside with this, we keep monitoring their progress, and we keep spotlighting the areas of improvements and the areas of challenges. For areas improvements, we celebrate, we praise, we recognize. As for areas of challenging, we keep giving more monitoring, and we keep providing them with help when needed. So it's a matter of regular feedback, monitoring the students' work. This will keep us having an updated mechanism to keep helping them and to keep them improving.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for both for the presentations and all the engagement and the questions. As the chair of the session, I've been asked to give a brief summary of the session, and I am mindful of the time because we are slightly over time. So I'm just very much going to just highlight some key points that stood out for me. In terms of the first presentation from Mustafa, I quite liked and picked up on the advantages of these online assessments in terms of the green and safe approach. I think in terms of sustainability and our current context, that is quite important. From Dr. Praveen, he did speak about, you know, in terms of the responses and being responsive in terms of the challenges for their unique case in terms of being one university, but with multiple campuses globally. But I think it was quite insightful in terms of how they address the challenges and some of the solutions in terms of the contextual adaptation. That is something that we can all learn from. And then from Samir on the feedback, I think it was quite interesting to hear about the feed up, the feedback, and the feed forward, and also in recognizing that, yes, we have been posed, and I think this came through in all three presentations, that we have been challenged, but also to think about the opportunities that has been created us for being more flexible and for being more digitally savvy. So I want to thank again the presenters for sharing their knowledge with us, and also in the engagement from all the attendees, and for taking the time to join us for what is a very timely and useful session on online and blended teaching, learning resources, assessments and evaluations. And thank you also to Dr. Anand and Blue Crest College for hosting us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Camilla, for your support. And I think it was a wonderful session. All the three presentations were very insightful. The presentation from Dr. Mustafa about the interactive tools is actually going to help a lot of educators, because we are getting some good ideas and some good practices which we can use in our teaching. And from Dr. Praveen, we have got a good approach which Heriot-Watt University is using. We can actually start looking into some kind of innovations and some kind of approach the Heriot-Watt is actually doing there. And then a lot of knowledge about different types of feedback, and not only feedback, but feed up, feed forward. These are some very useful terms for us, which we can use in education forward. So thank you, Dr. Samir Umara also. Dr. Praveen actually is a friend of mine. I worked with Dr. Praveen in Swinburne University of Technology in Malaysia. So it has been a long time I have seen Dr. Praveen face to face. How are you, Dr. Praveen?
Thanks, Anand. I'm doing good, except for the situation of this COVID.
Yeah, good to hear you. And it was a wonderful presentation, Praveen.
Thanks, Anand. And nice to see you as well after quite a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's almost 8 years since we last met. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 10 years.
10 years, yeah, okay.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Praveen. So let us move forward. And Dr. Camilla, I would look forward for the scores based on the reviews you're going to do.
Yes,
okay,
I'll send it to you now.
Yeah, thank you very much for your support. Let's move forward to the next session. Let me share my screen. It's a wonderful session now, which we are having now, the next two sessions, which are from very renowned companies, where Blue Crest is already partnering. And it's not only Blue Crest, these companies are now partnering with many other renowned universities around the world. And I'm very sure you already know the company called Coursera, a very famous company that started with the LMS. It has now grown into a hub for online courses and online teaching and learning. So we have a wonderful session with the presence of Mr. Adam Lewis and Ms. Carrie Hochin. And in this session, I would like to invite our Bluecrest marketing manager, Ms. Onekachi, to take the lead. Ms. Onekachi, please feel free.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Kachi.
I don't know if you is it better? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. It's been an amazing session, all the presentations that we've seen so far. So I'm going to go ahead and, first of all, I'm going to say thank you, a big thank you to Coursera and other sponsors, Racklet and McGraw-Hill, for this. Thank you so much for being a part of this conference. So I'm going to, for this session, we have Mr. Adam Lewis, Head of Skills Transformation, Coursera, and we have Ms. Carrie, the Partnership Director for Coursera. So this is going to be a fireside chat on digital transformation and skills development with Coursera. Okay. So I'm going to give a brief bio of Director of Bluecrest, Dr. Anand Agrawal. So Dr. Anand Agrawal is leading the change and transformation of Bluecrest College, one of the top-ranked educational institutes in Ghana. Dr. Anand has a keen interest and passion in entrepreneurship, innovation, teaching, and researching in the related areas. Also a co-founder and mentor for startups. With an experience as an academic leader and academic practitioner, he has worked in different countries in Asia, Malaysia, India, Philippines, Dubai, and also part-time in Paris, France. After obtaining a doctoral degree, he contributed and learned about marketing and media research while working with national and international multinational clients with world-renowned research firms. He has also taught in bachelor's and master's, PhD level, degree programs, graduate courses, and executive programs to experienced and pre-experienced students working as executives at junior and senior levels, from assistant managers to VP levels, who have been from different nationalities and cultures. He has also led the growth and development of business schools as an advisor in leadership positions as associate dean, associate head, and also a program director. Without much further ado, because we're already running out of time, I'm just going to give this over to Adam.
Hello, thank you. I am.
Thank you.
But if see that, be good. Does that come up? Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. Yes, my name is Adam Lewis. I lead.
Hello, Mr. Adam. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Adam.
Okay, thank you. So I lead the skills transformation consulting team in Europe, Middle East, and Africa in Coursera. And oh, have I just been muted? For For those of you who don't know Coursera, we are the world's leading online learning platform. So what we do is we take content from universities across the world, like Yale and Stanford and London Business School, and industry partners like Amazon and Google and IBM, and we pull it onto our platform and we offer it to individuals across the world, but also individuals through certain institutions like campuses and universities. So we have more than 73 million registered learners who are developing 80,000 skills every day on our platform. And the wonderful thing about doing this is we're able to understand what skills people are developing and what skills people need in the future. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start to understand what the state of skills looks like generally, and then we can start looking at what that means for Africa as well. So for those of you who potentially have seen lots of different reports around the skills of tomorrow, most of the things that we see people learning on our platform are around 3 critical areas: data science, business, and computer science. So as you're thinking as universities about what you should be focusing on for the future, these are the 3 areas we like to focus on because they are the backbone of the 4th industrial revolution. So every job in the future is going to be touched by business, computer, and data at some point. So it's something that people really need to be thinking about. The reason this is so important is because actually Microsoft did this great analysis that said since COVID, there's going to be an incredible uptick in the number of digital jobs that are happening in the world. So of the 190 million jobs that are going to be created globally in 2025, 149 million are going to be in digital jobs around software, cloud, data, cybersecurity, and privacy and trust. So when we work with organizations, we work with businesses and universities, the message we're trying to share is there's an entire curriculum that you share as a university that is incredibly important to get people into jobs, but most of those areas are going to have a digital flavor in the future, and we need to prepare people to have that digital flavor. So people come to us and they say, based on the 73 million learners you have, what are the skills that we should be teaching them for employability in the 4th industrial revolution? And these are the skills that we would start to suggest. So things from big data and artificial intelligence are critical. On the big data side, every single organization in the future will be acknowledging a number of different data points that come in. And it really is across industries. So what we're seeing in Africa is a lot of big data being used to support agriculture as one of the largest industries on the continent, because you can start to analyze yield growth, you can start to identify weather, you can start to understand what decisions you should be making within a certain industry to drive better decision making. On the artificial intelligence side, people will probably be aware that Google have set up an artificial intelligence unit within Ghana recently. So there's going to be a lot more jobs available within the artificial intelligence space. And really, most of the future of work is going to be driven by process automation and artificial intelligence in the future. Cloud computing is another big area for the African continent as well. There's about $250 million worth of investment coming into the continent to get cloud data centers and cloud infrastructure in, which is a really big pull because it gets people to not have to actually create their own data centers as organizations, but you can actually use cloud services like Amazon and Google to run your companies. We're seeing application and web development as being really, really important in the continent as well, partly because there is such a large informal sector in a lot of different countries. So people being able to understand how to develop websites, mobile applications is really important to get companies off the ground, to drive entrepreneurship, but also to drive software development in organizations. And then you have emerging technologies like digital manufacturing, which are going to shake up how sensors are going to be used in the Internet of Things in a lot of digital manufacturing plants and industry. Now you can see at the bottom, obviously there are a lot of business and human skills that are required, to support all of those activities. So if anyone read the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report recently, which I would encourage you to do, it says by 2025, 50% of activities will be machine-based and 50% of activities will be human-based, which means we have to think of the human skills that are going to support the kind of digital activities that are happening. And so a lot of the human skills are things that we need to start teaching in our universities and also in our businesses. So Kerry is going to talk a little bit later about, what this means on the ground. But if you haven't read the Global Skills Index, I'd advise you to have a look at it. It actually takes all of the content and the data that we have to understand what people are learning and what proficiency they're learning. So all of the courses on Coursera have assessments with them. And because you can take assessments, you can understand what skills people are developing. So you can start to see in these areas of business, tech, and data, where is the continent performing? In business and technology, it's doing okay. Data science is one area where there's probably a lot more work that can be done. And actually, if you pinpoint some specific countries where we do have quite a high threshold of learners, and we can start to anticipate what's happening, you can then start to rank how different countries are benchmarking across the the continent. So again, as you can see, South Africa is quite a driver of high impact skill proficiency across data and technology. Nigeria is one of the countries that we're certainly helping with some of their leading universities to drive a lot of activity upwards. The one thing you can then do as we work with them, with different universities, is we can start to analyze the different skills underneath each of these areas and the proficiencies that you can start to see. So we can take a country like South Africa, which is quite a leading and forward-thinking country in some of these skill areas, and say, yes, it's not surprising that there's a lot of work in sales and marketing that is being developed in terms of skills because of this informal sector that exists, but also because there is a very high growth retail industry within South Africa. We're seeing a growing trend across the African continent for security engineering. So as technology and accessibility grows, there's also the sophistication of security engineering and cybersecurity attacks. So we're seeing quite an industry building in the continent of understanding how you drive security and cybersecurity within organizations. And then in this data space, what you'll start to see as we look into some of the data is that data visualization is one of the, let's say, lowest level skills that people can develop. But actually there are some of these big skills like machine learning and statistical programming, which are going to unlock a lot of value and economic value in the countries around Africa, which we probably have to support more of. So just to give you a little bit of a flavor of what people are learning on the platform to show you, you can see in the African continent, a lot of what's happening at the moment is business, then it's computer science and data. And the types of things people are learning are how to program, how to understand IT and get jobs within IT support. And then a lot of things in business around speaking English, being able to project manage, and actually learning how to learn is one of the big pieces that we're seeing across the board as well. And then you can start to see that some people are really going down into some of these artificial intelligence and more advanced data points as well, like neural networks and Python. So there's quite a different flavor here, but it is very focused on some of these areas. And what we as Coursera do with universities is we say, you can design your curriculum, we can supplement your curriculum, but really in these future skills, the skills that are going to be giving people jobs in the future, there are some amazing courses and content and projects that you can get out there for your students very quickly so they can start to develop these skills alongside their core curriculum. So just as a frame for Kerry's conversation, we work with almost 4,000 higher education institutions worldwide. As you can see, a lot of them are on in the African continent. So it'd be great to hear Kerry and Dr. Anand talk about what this means in practice. Shall I stop sharing, Kerry?
Thank you, Mr. Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Great. So thank you very much, Adam, for that insight. I think it's really interesting to see how skills across Africa are developing and what courses are in demand. But like you say, the session now is moving on to have an interview with Dr. Anand, because it's with great delight that Coursera announces that Bluecrest have become the very first Coursera for Campus partner in Ghana. So Bluecrest are really leading the way in developing blended learning and teaching, which is what this conference is all about, in fact, and bringing job relevant courses to its students. So it's going to be great to be able to spend a few minutes with you, Dr. Anand, to be able to talk about how you're going to work with Coursera and the impact that you're hoping that this will bring to your students and in Ghana. So first of all, if we can, I'd like to just start with asking you the question, if you could just share the main reasons that Bluecrest University College decided to partner with Coursera for Campus to help its path towards digital transformation.
Yeah, I think that question is a kind of a nostalgic question for me now, because we have been moved forward a lot with the Coursera now. So we all know that the need for the education industry now is to go for digitization, online and blended teaching and learning. And we cannot go back to 2019 before the pandemic time. Actually, in our keynote session today, this was also presented by one of the keynote speakers, that the new normal is here for education industry also.
Yeah.
So we actually see that we have to be proactive. And when we want to be proactive, we need to be partnered with the best. And we know, we already know this particular saying that the content is king, right? But in the education industry, delivery is the queen. So you have to marry the content and delivery together, right? And
yeah.
And without queen, the king cannot create a sustainable kingdom for long term. So what we want to do is that we want to use the content of Coursera, and we want to deliver it here in the college using the blended or hybrid teaching and learning methods, using the flipped learning for the students, so that students can have experiential learning sessions in the class, and they can come prepared to the class after going through the Coursera courses. And the faculty members, they don't need to teach them the theories and concepts, because they already have learned that from the Coursera. So we are actually going ahead in a proactive manner to transform the teaching and learning in the college. That is why we are partnered with Coursera.
Fantastic. I like what you're saying there about the king and the queen analogy, and you have to marry the content with the teaching delivery, and it kind of leads on a little bit to my next question. So we obviously speak to lots of universities around the world, and I think when you're embarking on implementing a blended model, and you're looking at bringing content in from outside of the university, not generated by Bluecrest itself, I can imagine that maybe some of your faculty members might have felt a little bit threatened by this change that's ahead, and maybe somehow felt a little bit redundant almost. So how have you overcome their fears, and what benefits, in fact, do you see to faculty that Coursera will ultimately support?
Yeah, that's a good question. Any change that is there and we say the change is coming, the very first reaction for a normal human being is a little bit of fear, because we have to go out of comfort zone. But if you see the trend of education industry over I think more than 15 years, the importance to content is going down because of the advent of the internet, Google and YouTube. A lot of content is already available, right? Coursera, edX, Udemy has done a good job of creating a separate portal and acting as a hub to provide that content. But suppose there is no Coursera, no edX, even then a lot of content is already there in Google and YouTube. So the role of faculty member is already changing from last 15 years. It's no more just a content creator, right? So faculty members need to understand, and they're understanding, and we all educators know and acknowledge this, that our role is changing over the time, right? So if we are not changing with the time, if the education industry educators don't change with the time, we will become outdated, right? So we have to adopt the digitizing way of teaching and learning. We have to adopt the modern methods, student-centered, experiential, flipped teaching and learning methods also. And we have to see how can we use technology in our teaching, because this is now in the center of the teaching industry, education industry. Technology has touched all the industries, and education industry is not a different one. So faculty members have been fearful, but those who are already, they know Coursera, many of them, they know Coursera. They're very excited, and they see, okay, there's a lot of learning opportunity for them. A lot of professional development is there once they start using Coursera. And then I started a campaign here in the college that, this Coursera initiative is for the professional development of the faculty members. If you teach 2 years, 3 years with us in Bluecrest using Coursera, 4th year you can apply in Europe, US, Australia, in best of the universities, and you can claim that you know the modern teaching methods. So faculty members are excited. They see the career progression with that, and there's a very positive environment in the college because of that.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's a really positive way forward. And I think actually there was a saying when I spoke with Covenant University in Nigeria. They had a saying in Nigerian language that was something like, you can't add too much meat to the soup. So why wouldn't you want to bring in additional things that can enrich the experience for students? And actually, I think that, as you said, it can help professors focus on the more creative side of the actual teaching delivery, which is where they are the leaders and where they can bring the most value. So hopefully that can be, as well as a great professional development experience for them, it can also make the aspects of teaching that they enjoy the most kind of come to the forefront again, and take away some of maybe the tasks that are less enjoyable. So yeah, I can see how that would work. So you mentioned about wanting to bring more or develop more experiential teaching methods. So that's one of the reasons that you planning to bring Coursera in. So can you talk us through a little bit how you're planning to use Coursera to help provide the hands-on learning, or if you are going to use it in that way?
Yeah. So we are going to use Coursera in a way where the Coursera courses are going to be integrated with our diploma and degree level courses. So almost all the courses here will have at least one assigned Coursera course. So out of 14 weeks of learning for the students here in a semester, 4 to 6 weeks they will study online in the Coursera and rest in the classrooms here. And they actually also will be completing every semester at least one skill-based course on Coursera. For example, a business student may actually go for semester 1 a course on Excel. The second semester may go for a course on negotiation and teamwork. So skill building courses are also available in Coursera, which is a very good value addition for our students here, because every university gets a feedback nowadays that graduating students are not having sufficient skills, and where Coursera courses actually can help a lot, because there are restrictions in terms of our syllabus. Regulatory agencies sometimes do not appreciate a lot of random skill-based courses, and they focus more on disciplined courses. So there's always a kind of gap that remains. Now Coursera is helping us to fill that gap. In addition to that, there's a very wonderful tool in Coursera which is called guided projects. We want our faculty members to take care of the guided projects and to make some projects where students can parallelly emulate the work which is done by the faculty member, and there can be a real-time guidance on the projects for the students, which is a wonderful tool created by Coursera, and we are very impressed with that.
Great. So you're planning to allow your faculty members to use the authoring tool to produce their own guided projects around specific softwares and practical applications that you want to build into your own curriculum.
Yes, we want to do that. But we have just signed the partnership. We are now getting ready for the first semester. So it will take some time, but we will be there, and we have very huge plans on integrating Coursera in many of our, even the professional development courses which we offer in the certificate courses also we can integrate Coursera ultimately.
Fantastic. And so in terms of academic credits, will you be offering academic credits for the completion of Coursera courses? And can you talk us through how you will manage that, or will it just simply be alongside the existing curriculum?
See, at this point of time, we are not clear whether our accreditation agency will allow the allocation of credits for Coursera courses completion. So we will not go for that till we get the surety from our accreditation agency. But it is wonderful as a learning tool for the students. We are sure about it. So we will not be able to allocate the credits right away, but we will wait and watch and see how accreditation agencies are going to react over this when we propose them the same thing.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, of course, you're one of the most innovative universities in the region, having taken this step. It's a big decision, and as you say, it seems like you're kind of reflecting back now, because obviously you've been in discussions with Coursera for some time to reach this decision. But I wonder, I can imagine many universities or the people watching today are wondering what the process was for you to take this decision, and what advice perhaps you would give, what lessons you've learned, and what advice you would give to anyone who is thinking, has similar ambitions to bridge skills gaps, to help students with better employability outcomes, and like you, moving into a more kind of blended and digital transformation mode.
Yeah, that's a good question, Carrie. See, actually in the month of November last year, we were thinking of, we were exploring either edX or Coursera. And it was not the lockdown time. It was before the lockdown.
Remember those days?
Yeah, so it's a strategic choice for us.
Yeah.
So we have created a 5-year plan for the college. And one of the 5-year plan goals for us is that to be active in the blended and hybrid teaching front, and to slowly digitize our education. And if accreditation agencies allows us in the future to go for fully online also. So the Coursera is a kind of a pathway for us where we will learn a lot. Our faculty members will learn, we will learn. It's a learning tool for us also, right? And it also will help us to grow professionally and to get the development we need in terms of creating high quality content. Of course, delivery is the queen, but we should not forget the king. So we also have to develop the digital content in the future. And it may be possible that we will be giving contents to Coursera after some years from now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a kind of a long-term strategy we have in our mind. Of course, convincing all the stakeholders of the college, it takes some time, but the continuous discussions were there. And the key is, if the faculty members are ready, then they can take care of everything else.
Yeah.
Students follow faculty members.
Yeah.
So once faculty members have the buy-in and the top management has the buy-in, it becomes very easy.
Yeah.
But we all realize as educators that this is what the need of the future is. Online, blended, partnerships. Someone said that the current era is the era of partnerships. We cannot do wonders alone.
Absolutely.
So this is the way we are going forward now, and we're very sure about it. So we are doing good actually in terms of this partnership. We are very proud that in Ghana we are the first to have a partnership with you.
Yeah.
So it has been a good experience for all of us.
Great, and we're very much looking forward to seeing the impact of that on students. So hopefully by the time we meet again in conference, maybe next year at next year's conference, we'll be able to reflect back on the first year of study for those students and actually be able to see some of the outcomes for those students and the skills they've acquired, and hopefully seen a boost in their employability outcomes. And also it would be really fabulous to look back from a faculty perspective and see how their thinking has evolved over that time. So I'm really excited to explore with you over the coming year how we can develop the partnership and how we can deliver against those goals that that we set out to achieve together. So thanks very much, Dr. Anand. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you to date, and it's been really great that you were able to say a few words about the process, the decision-making process, and your aspirations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you very much. Now we have the next session where we are going to invite Mr. Judge. He's from Raclette. Mr. Jacek is from Raclette. We have also partnership with Raclette, like Bluecrest partnership. We have a partnership with Raclette, which is a alumni management software or a portal. So we were actually contemplating the best tool to have the alumni engagement portal. And we did some research and we found that Raclette is one of the upcoming company with lot of good features and within our budget. So we have started using Raclette as our alumni management tool. And before we ask Mr. Jacek to provide the details about the Raclette, I want to show how Bluecrest is using Raclette in it will just take 2 minutes of time. So if you can see my internet here. Yeah, if you see the internet, this page is getting open now. So we have more than 1,200 alumni members in this Raclette tool. We are releasing the newsletters, and we are also engaging the alumni very actively, who are working in 47 companies, in 7 countries, in 25 cities. So we have very good data, and it's a networking platform for managing the alumni for the alumni. So with this, I want to invite Mr. Jacek to give us a demo and to share his experiences with this wonderful tool called Raclette.
Thanks so much for the introduction. Can you hear me okay now? Everybody's able to hear me?
Yes, we're able to hear you.
Perfect. So thanks so much for inviting me to the conference today. I've been following up the previous presentation. It was really helpful to see like how organizations are working in the education space and how they're moving forward. Let me just tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm the founder and CEO of Raclette, and we started our company in late 2015. And then we got into Techstars, and it's one of the top accelerators in the world. So we were in their program in Berlin. And then we got $500,000 investment from Microsoft Ventures in cloud credits. So that's how we were able to start our company. And our biggest problem back then was managing our alumni association. So like this whole product came out of our own needs, and we decided to build a tool that would make our lives easier, and at the same time it will be affordable for our small association. Since then, like we work with a lot of organizations all around the world, and like we helped small universities and colleges and high schools and other business networks, nonprofits and clubs. So today it's a fully fledged all-in-one platform, focusing mostly on contacts, messaging, and payments. So I would like to share my screen and walk you through on our application here. So just give me a second. And cool. Can you see it now? I guess you can see it, right? I'll focus on the alumni engagement side of things for today's demo. So like you can manage all your alumni and mentor students, and you can also grow your alumni community with our tool. You can have all your students, and you can have your alumni in this place. You can also invite companies and corporations, and they can publish jobs, and you can create like career opportunities for your network. It's fully branded. So like if you like to have your own colors, logo, phones, custom domain, email sender names, it's all available on the system. And you can easily engage your alumni. They can see like which sectors people are working in or which companies they're currently working at, and they can reach out to these people. And most of the universities that are on our platform, they're using our fundraising app to raise scholarship for their current students. And that's a really great idea on their side. And what they're doing is usually they're running a fundraising campaign for each graduation year. So like the 2018 alumni, they're giving a scholarship to a specific person. So that the student and the alumni are connected it's like connected directly, basically. So they can easily log in. So we enrich their profiles whenever they log in via Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google. They can also log in with their emails or phone numbers. And once they log in, they can also follow up with your events. So like if you're organizing events online or offline, this is a great way to engage them and bring people together. Because of the COVID, like most of the events are online these days. So we have a Zoom integration where you can publish events and, you know, like invite people to your webinars and your calls. And everything is managed from a really clean, easy to use backend admin interface. So you can easily keep track of your alumni and students. You can filter by their attributes. You can easily send emails, text messages, or push notifications on the system and try to engage them with your cause. Before diving into pricing and everything, I would like to give you some examples here, show you some examples. So this is a demo account that I have right in front of me right now. It has a paid wall content here. So if you want to publish specific content to your members, then you can do that on the platform. You can also publish content that is available to public and non-members as well. And on the platform, as Anna mentioned, you can look for other people, other members, alumni, and the network. You can easily browse their profiles. And if you're wondering like who else is working or studying at this university, you can easily click on name and see other people studying here. Same thing for companies. You can filter, see all the companies and see who the people working at these companies, basically. And so you can filter by cities, countries, and most of the time, universities are using tagging as one of the core features, so that they're using tags for mentors, mentees, or maybe for the graduation year. So that's for grouping your existing user base and helping your alumni and students to browse easily here. And we also give you the job board. So like if you want your companies to publish jobs and your students and alumni to apply for these jobs, it's readily available on the system. So they can look at the open positions, they can filter by different attributes, and if they're interested in this position, they can apply directly on the system. And we give you reporting tools so that like you can easily report back to other people in your team. As I mentioned, like you can run events, and when you're organizing events, it's pretty much like any other event management tool, but it's tied to your basically your CRM. So you can, this is an example online event, and you can add this to your calendar. You can see all the participants here, and everything you see on the screen is customizable. So the admins, they make a decision about showing the participants here, for example, or they're changing anything that's related to all these apps. So if I show you an example, for example, this is another university. They're based in Istanbul, and they're running a lot of events here, online events and offline events. And if you just go to their account, you can see the details here as well. we are not only working with universities, but also working with nonprofits. And if you look at here, the domain, it doesn't have the Rocklet.com, right? So they're using their own custom domain here, and they have a custom navigation, and like they have a journal integration. So if you like to integrate with third-party tools, you can easily do that on our system as well. Another example is Koç University, and this is one of the examples of the fundraising campaigns for each graduation year. For example, 2012 graduates are raising funds. They're almost at 60% right now, and their target is 170,000, and they already got 294 backers here. I mean, 54 backers here. And we can easily see who these people are. And if I want to engage with them, I can just click and look at their profile and then send them a message, or, you know, like engage with them on the platform as another member of the network. Yet another organization. This is a nonprofit based in Turkey with multiple chapters, and it's an alumni network of this nonprofit. So they're giving scholarship to young kids, and they're giving scholarships from the age of 6 to 18, so all the way from like the first grade to the college, basically. And they're using our platform as their hub. And this organization is also using our custom apps. So if you look at the apps on the App Store, both for Google Play and the Apple App Stores, you can find our apps. And all the features that you have seen online on the web, it can be built as an application. So this organization's app is downloaded by probably more than 1,000 people already. And it has like 7 5-star reviews. And with this app, let me show you some screenshots here. Maybe we can just look at this Rocklet app here, iPhone version. Yes. So you will get your own navigation here with your own logo. And Rocklet app is free, by the way. So like if you want to use our mobile application, it's totally free. If you would like to get a branded application, that's an add-on that we offer, but that's readily available on the system, and you can get your own app in a week or two, depending on the how the verification process goes with the Apple and Google. So they need to verify first. So that's why I cannot give an exact timeline on that end, but it's pretty fast on our end. So you can have your own custom navigation here. And, you know, like we also, there's a directory, and we also provide membership cards. So your members, your alumni and students, they can use these cards and use the QR code to, you know, enter your facilities or enter your events, basically. And I can also go back to the admin panel and show you around a little bit here. So this is how the admin panel looks like. It's a pretty simple and empty account. So let me just go to another one here. So like looking at this dashboard, we see that there are a couple of items. Maybe I just need to make this a little bit bigger. All right, not too much. So this organization enabled several apps here, and we also have an app store. So you can pick and choose different apps here. And if you need something else, just let us know. You can always click on this chat button and talk to our team members and tell us what you need, and we can take a look at it. There's no technical limitations on our end. So like all the customizations that it can be built on top of our platform. So like some of the apps are like, you know, as I mentioned, like sending emails, sending text messages, managing paid or free memberships, organizing events, selling tickets, like fundraising. We also give you the social network. You can build forms. You can use the job board, and all the other apps. We also recently released integrations. So you can connect to more than 2,000 apps through Zapier. We have native integrations with Google Analytics and the Google Suite, and you know, Shopify and Square. But with the Zapier integration, you can now connect Rocklet to more than 2,000 apps. And if I just like go through the admin panel, just to give you an idea, contacts is basically your CRM. You can add people here. You can go and check out their profiles. There's a clear timeline of their actions on the system. So this is going to be like the memory of your organization, like anything related to their creation date, their actions, their login times, emails they opened or emails they were engaging with. It's all going to be listed on the timeline so that you have a clear idea of like who this person is and how you can approach them. Our platform is really flexible, so you can show and hide different fields. If you need, you can add like custom fields depending on your requirements, basically. And we can also manage their memberships, all the payments and everything in the back end here. And if I just go to the front end here, I would like to show you the membership card while we're here. Hopefully I have one. All right, so this is an example membership card and with the QR code and everything. And if I want to add this to my Apple Wallet, even without a mobile application, I can easily add this to my passbook, and I can, you know, benefit from all the perks that this one comes with. So I can simply add this to my wallet. So just going back here, you can easily filter like any other CRM. This is a really powerful tool. So like you can compare it to Salesforce or HubSpot or any other CRM. You can filter by their attributes. So if you're looking for people who was born after a certain date or their genders, right? You can easily filter them. You can tag these people and you can export all this data to Excel whenever you need. And you can have people and company records. So your members, they don't have to be individuals. So if you want to have your sponsors or other affiliated companies, you can also onboard them onto the platform. Again, like all the apps here, you can explore the apps. We offer a free plan. So up to 50 contacts, you can just create your own account and play with the system as much as you need. There's no deadline on our free account. And you can add your contacts, add your alumni, you can send them messages and start engaging with them on the platform. I'm not sure if it will be helpful if I dive into details here. So maybe we can see if there are any questions so far. I was not looking at the chat here. Let's see.
Yeah, we are open for questions now. Please feel free to ask questions if you have any question in the question answer box, or you can raise your hands. I was expecting that we will open the questions for Coursera also, but I think the Coursera attendees are no more here now. Feel free to ask questions if you have.
All right, well, people thinking about the questions, so maybe I can just go through the other modules here. So for the jobs, you can see all the pending jobs and you can review them before taking them live. And once you approve, there's a notification going to all your network members if it's relevant to their background. So they can easily stay up to date with all the opportunities. And with the social network side, like you can filter everything here. So like if you don't want to display certain fields, you can simply certain filters, you can simply remove them. We have a bunch of other options on the platform, like enabling messaging between members. You can disable that, or enabling discussion forums so that they can also post alongside with your admins. And on the fundraising side, you can manage all your donations, all your funding here. And you can also let your students or alumni to create fundraising campaigns. So this is pretty much like a peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns. So once you approve those campaigns, they can also start raising funds for your school. That's a really powerful way to generate additional revenue streams for your school and for your students. And for the events are also really flexible. So you can check in people at the door if they are like physical events. We give you the mobile applications to scan QR codes for tickets and for checking people. You can create like different price tickets for alumni and public and guests. So you can manage all aspects of event management here. And for membership side of the things, you can like collect payments via bank transfers or like online card payments or any other payment methods that you might have today. It can be integrated into the platform. And we also offer an API, which is a web interface. So like your IT team can use our infrastructure to dynamically update data here on the platform. And for the applications, you can preview all these applications before approving them. That's also part of the system. And everything you see on the platform, you can always export them, right? So it's your data, it's your platform. So everything you can just import and export easily. I guess that's pretty much what I have on my end today. Again, like it's free to get started. And if you want to use any of these plans, I think Essentials or Professional might be a good start. It comes with 1,000 contacts. So if you're a small school, then you can simply use the Essentials plan. And also we offer a 50% discount for qualified educational organizations. So if you're interested in our platform, you can always click on the chat and then tell us about your situation and we can help you out. Let me see if there are any questions now. If not, I would like to thank everyone for their time here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jacek. We will continue our partnership. And in case any question comes later on, I will direct it to you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you. So with this session, we are ending the day one of the conference. We had very good presentations today. Tomorrow, we're going to continue this conference at 9:45 a.m., where we have 6 more presentations. And then McGraw-Hill presentation also is there today. And we will conclude tomorrow with the awards and closing ceremony around 3 p.m. So thank you, everyone, for continuing in this conference. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you very much.